I really appreciate being here, and I really appreciate all the stories that have been shared so far. I think what they highlight is that North Minneapolis is a place that has been diverse, has a history of diversity, has a history. I once said to someone, if you look at the way that the city has treated the North Side historically, it has historically been been a location, been a geography where the city has attempted to, I would say, dump its undesirable populations. Anti-Semitism was incredibly rampant and steep in the early years, in the 20s and the 30s in Minneapolis, and obviously racism persisted, at that time as well. But what you continue to see over the years is that no matter what community establishes roots here in North Minneapolis, every single community that makes roots in North Minneapolis makes this place an incredible place to live. So much so that we're now in an era where venture capitalists and other folks want to drive up the price of North Minneapolis, make it unaffordable to live. Whether it's the Jewish community, the Black community, we see Southeast Asian immigrants, and we see East African immigrants living in our community now. Every single community has made this place so desirable. And in turn, there are folks that want to see North Minneapolis become an unaffordable place. Since I've been in office, I've seen the trends in affordability. I've watched it evaporate since my time in office, and I have demanded, sometimes with unwilling partners, that everyone who comes into this community establish some level of affordability. And I'm just absolutely overjoyed to have a willing partner who looks at folks who have fallen on hard times and says, you know what, we're not going to find ways to screen folks out. We're not going to find ways to price folks out. We're going to look at ways to screen people into our buildings. We're going to look at ways to price people in, and we're going to look at ways to ensure that quality of life is dignified, not just affordable, but dignified. I think that that's incredibly important about the kind of housing that Beacon really leans into. And we need all types of housing to exist along this continuum. I'm currently sort of in a fight to establish a COVID-friendly shelter in North Minneapolis that would be targeted for, that would shelter women. Single women are one of the largest homeless populations in the city, and Black women make up, I think, about half of all of the women who are homeless in the city of Minneapolis. But we can't stop with shelter, right? People need a permanent place to live. I think that this provides an opportunity for that. In the months that come, we're obviously going to be, at that point where we're going to have to be discussing site plan approvals, and we're going to be figuring out the zoning, and that you guys have been through all this before. You know how to navigate it. And so we'll sort of bear with each other through that process, but know that when it comes to what you all are leaning into, what you all are building here, you have an absolute supporter in me. One of the things I wanted to highlight is that, I also, born and raised here in North Minneapolis, I've been here 30 years. I'm 30 years old. So not as long as some of the folks on the call, but but this has been my home my entire life. I've lived here. I've worked here. Right. I've been a lifeguard. I've been a muralist. I've worked at Avenues for Homeless Youth, and now I'm honored to represent the North Side on the Minneapolis City Council. And Great River Landing was already being built by the time I got into office. But I had a moment, and I won't say who because I don't want to out their situation, but a friend that I grew up playing football with, living at Great River Landing currently. And he came to my open office hours, and we were talking, and obviously, our lives had kind of diverged since our time, since we were 8 years old playing football. But he was just incredibly grateful for the opportunity that he had to turn his life around and get into a stable housing situation. And it was incredible that through advocating for affordable housing, you know, the concept no longer was conceptual, right? There I was sitting down with somebody who I grew up with, who I knew well, who understood viscerally the benefit of having a place to live and stay and be housed. And so I could go on as well, but I think that this is an incredibly important resource. There was somebody on the phone call mentioned haters. There will still be folks who are skeptical of serving people who are down and out in this way. You know, they will say, why does the North Side need to be the one to sort of bear this burden, right? But stabilizing people in their housing is not a burden. It should be our honor to do such a thing. And when we stabilize folks in their housing, we set them up to thrive in a real way. And when we leave people on the street, we do not set them up to thrive. We don't put them in a position to motivate themselves to do better by themselves or their children. And so I want to thank you all again, and I'm excited to support you all moving this project along and seeing it come to fruition. So thank you all for planting this seed.